Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. Stand up for your country. Well, we had a huge crowd last night watching and listening to the No Spin News. It's still going on. If you're not a member, a concierge, or a premium member of BillO'Reilly.com, you can watch that anytime you want. Now, a lot of you across the country are listening on the radio. That's a 9 to 10 or whatever it may be time. And then on television with our distribution all over the world, that's a set time. But if you go to BillO'Reilly.com, you can watch us anytime. And again, a lot of people watching last night. And I think it's because that we analyze this Trump thing very precisely. So if you watch the net and cable news, you get a lot of speculation. You get a lot of very impassioned opinion. Nothing wrong with impassioned opinion. But speculation, conspiracy theories, all that, no, we don't do that here. So tonight we're going to top what we did last night because I know more. And I'm going to know more tomorrow because I'm talking to some people who were there at the raid. I don't believe I'm going to be able to tell you who they are. I might be. But I am assembling as much information, accurate information, as I can. Because this is, as I said yesterday, an unbelievably important story for every American. It really comes down right now to Biden versus Trump. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So President Biden says he did not know about this raid. And that's probably true, as we explained yesterday, because the Justice Department would give him cover. But he knew in general, he had to know, President Biden, if he can retain information at all, and that's, a legitimate if, he had to know that the Justice Department and grand jury is looking into Donald Trump as far as removing documents that he should not have removed. So Biden had to know that, all right? But did he know about the precise raid and all of that? Probably not. Now, Donald Trump, he's making it real personal as far as Biden is concerned. Here's what he said, quote, Biden knew all about this, just like he knew all about Hunter's deals, unquote. Okay. So a lot of people agree with Donald Trump. And maybe Donald Trump is right. Maybe I'm wrong. But again, let's delineate it. He didn't necessarily know about the timing of the raid, but he did know about the Justice Department looking into the allegation that Trump removed documents he should not have removed. But that's not the big story, okay? I'm going to get to the big story. So after Trump accused Biden of knowing all about it and orchestrating it, then, of course, the Biden team had to respond. So the White House spokesperson, Karine Jean-Pierre, is very, very weak. All right. And here's the first question yesterday. Go.
Does the White House, or the president, believe it would be helpful, both domestically and signal that sends abroad, for the Department of Justice to be more open about the reasons for that search warrant, the underlying evidence there?
Again, this is not something I'm going to comment on today or from here at all. This goes to the Department of Justice, and that's where I refer you to.
Absurd, insulting. It's insulting. Now, look, Joe Biden's the leader of the country. Okay? Does he want transparency here or not? I mean, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's stonewalling. I'm not going to talk about it. It's the biggest story, lady, in the country. It affects every American, and you're not going to talk about it? Roll the second clip.
Former Vice President Pence called on the Attorney General to provide a full accounting of the FBI search at Mar-a-Lago. Is that something the White House would support?
I'm not going to comment on I'm not going to comment on this. I'm refer you to the Department of Justice.
And has the president spoken with the Attorney General today?
I'm just not going to speak further on any conversations.
Outrageous. This is an absolute outrage. Okay? So now, yesterday initially Donald Trump was embarrassed, but now the needle is going back. That's embarrassing. She's an embarrassment to Joe Biden. You just can't dodge everything in a story this big that affects everybody. But she is. Now, we did a little investigating on the judge who signed off on a warrant. We don't know what was in the warrant. Okay? It was sealed. I'm trying to find out, but I don't know yet. I do know about Judge Bruce Reinhart. Okay? So he signed it. I believe they judge shopped. Okay? That means the FBI and the Justice Department looked for a judge they knew would sign this for whatever reason. So Reinhart, he donated $1,000 to President Obama's campaign and $1,000 to his victory fund. He also donated $500 to Jeb Bush in 2016 when Bush was running for president. But here's the headline on Reinhart. He was tied in with Jeffrey Epstein. He was not a judge at the time. He was a defense counsel, and he represented some employees of Epstein. Now, that's not necessarily a negative. Everybody deserves representation. But he was roundly criticized for his deportment in the Epstein case. Leading up to that, Reinhart spent more than 11 years as an assistant U.S. attorney, so he knows a lot of people in the Justice Department. Trump's lawyer, Christine Bobb, B-O-B-B, was on the scene. A lot of people say, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, she was denied access to what the FBI were doing. She couldn't go in and watch them. I don't want to say anything about that till I get the facts, but we're going to have it for you. All right? According to the Trump people themselves, they were given a heads up that this raid would take place. And we told you that yesterday. So now it's all on Merrick Garland. All right. Biden, and we'll tell you in a minute, he's out of there. He's on vacation now. Okay. He didn't want any part of this because this could boomerang back on him. It already is. So Garland, within a week, has got to say, this is what we were looking for, and this is what we found. He won't, but that's the responsible thing to do. And then he presents whatever he found to a grand jury. But he can tell the American people what he found. No law against that, but he won't. Okay, so let's sum this up. Big story. Biden administration stonewalling the story, okay? Trump trying to put it on Biden. He knew, he did it. It was all Biden. One further thing. When you watch these cable news programs, and listen, you all know, I did this for more than 20 years. The most outrageous things in the world are said on both sides. All right, so the hate Trump, they already convicted Trump of God knows what, but they've convicted him. And then the people who like Trump, they're saying, well, the FBI made a planted evidence. And I said to Hannity on a radio show, and we have it posted on BillO'Reilly.com, it's a good back and forth about this between Hannity and me today on the radio. I said to Hannity, look, anybody saying that the FBI planted evidence in Mar-a-Lago yesterday is irresponsible. Number one, it'd be almost impossible to do because you would have to get classified documents somehow, and then bring them to Florida, and then put them in a drawer or whatever. That didn't happen. And then there's all these other people, FBI agents, they're all going to say, oh yeah, let's plant evidence. All 30 of them are going to go, yeah, let's plant it. Come on. This is the dopey conspiracy stuff that we talked about yesterday. You weaken your case by doing that. Okay? Is it possible? Yeah, but it's 1,000-to-1. Because it would get out, and you can't get the original documents anyway. You can't get them. FBI agent can't just walk in to the National Archives and grab a document. Come on. So anyway, craziness, but not here. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. So we got a good guest for you. His name is Stuart Kaplan. He's a private attorney, but he was an FBI agent from 1995 to 2006, 11 years. And he knows what he's talking about, which is why I'm putting him on the air tonight. So, Mr. Kaplan, we appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to ask you a series of dumb questions, okay? But we need to clarify things. So, number one, when the FBI goes in with a warrant to search a home, do they ever let counsel for the homeowner follow them around and watch the search?
Yes, sir. With the caveat that when there is the execution of a search warrant, the first and main focus is to clear the location that's to be searched, to ensure the safety of the agents who are going to enter into or onto the premises. Once the agents have been satisfied that the location to be searched is safe, basically free from any weapons, the target of the search warrant, vis-a-vis being the owner of the premises or the person in control of that premise, would have the right to remain on premise to view or watch the search. However, that individual could not impede or obstruct the search. So that's the only issue.
Now, Ms. Robb says she was allowed to stay on the premises, but FBI did not want her watching them go into Melania's closet or other places. Is that unusual?
That would be unusual. And so I've been, yes, and if I could just put it in real time, I have been case agent on many different searches or executions of search warrants where lawyers have shown up, and it would not be within my right to prohibit that lawyer from following around to make sure that it is done in a dignified and orderly manner so that people are not ripping, things out of the wall or just, being unprofessional.
Right.
That's normal.
All right. So that's good. I'm glad you cleared that up. So Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, all right, had the right, and the FBI would have but she says, and I don't have this nailed down tight, I don't have a soundbite on it, but it's out there, that they didn't want her in certain places. Okay. Secondly, what I just said about planting evidence, that's very hard to do, is it not?
I think you hit the nail right on the head with respect to your narration, that in my lifetime, and certainly in my prior experience, I would never, ever conceive that any single FBI agent, or certainly a group of up to 30 FBI agents, would conspire to plant evidence. And certainly, given the level of scrutiny that anybody would have to anticipate, that did not happen.
Okay. There were surveillance cameras in Mar-a-Lago, and they did capture the FBI raid. Now the FBI apparently wants to see, some people say sees, again, this is all anecdotal that's floating around, the footage. Does that make sense to you at all?
So when you take a look at the affidavit in support of the search warrant, that search warrant must have particularity with very specific facts. And that judge, and as you mentioned, Magistrate Bruce Reinhart, would only give the lawful authority to seize those items that have been specified within that warrant. Now, it begs the question, was the surveillance video part of what was addressed in the warrant. If it was
So it
not
had to be
addressed-
in the warrant for the FBI
Yes,
to take it.
that is correct. You
surveillance
cannot
video.
just grab innocuous things.
And we don't know.
That's
We don't
correct,
know.
sir.
Now, you
That's
are in
correct.
Palm Beach. You must know this Reinhart guy, right?
I have the highest regard for Bruce Reinhart. I knew him when he was an assistant United States attorney, and I certainly have appeared before him when he was a United States magistrate. Now, I just want to make some correction here because you touched upon it. In West Palm Beach, in the Southern District of Florida, there are only 2 magistrates that sit. They work on rotation. So I will assume that it was not necessarily maybe shopping for a particular judge. It may have just been that he was the duty magistrate.
Could have been. But
Could have been.
with his resume, it just looked to me, and they didn't have to go to West Palm Beach. I mean, they could have gone to other jurisdictions in Florida, could they not?
Well, sir, the general rule is that where the property or premises to be searched are located, the FBI will go to that district of where that property is located. This property happened to be in West Palm Beach or Palm Beach County. It would be consistent with going to the Southern District of Florida. Now, with saying that, in fairness to your viewers, that could have been Broward County or in Miami.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
That's what I'm talking about.
But just so I just want to be clear, there are
because
various
if the Justice Department had approached the judge and the judge didn't sign a warrant, the whole thing would have gone up in smoke. So you've got to feel that they knew who would sign. I'm not casting aspersions on Reinhart. I'm just saying that one misstep here and Garland blows the whole thing, whatever he's trying to accomplish. Now, let's move it along to other things. The Wall Street Journal is editorial today, and they are no fans of Donald Trump. They say that this whole thing about the National Archive document, could have been done with a subpoena. They could have subpoenaed what they believe Trump is holding, and they didn't have to raid his house. How do you see that?
I think you're absolutely correct. And actually, even a less intrusive manner in which to issue a subpoena would have been to issue an order to show cause, which could have been filed, whether up in New York or in Florida, wherever they believe those records were being maintained, to compel him to come before a United States District Court judge and explain either, number one, are you in possession? And if so, why are you unwilling to return those documents?
So Trump would have to then appear before a federal judge and explain what the National Archives is alleging. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
But that didn't happen.
No, sir. They came in with a bulldozer to clear an answer.
Right.
That's true. Listen,
all right.
We
so
agree
now people are going to think it's political because they had another reason, another way to go without blowing this up worldwide and making America look bad. Now I'm going to get to my speculation. I don't like to speculate. I'm a fact-based guy. I think they were looking for stuff about January 6th. That's what I think this is all about. Because if you look at what happened to Hillary Clinton, no doubt Hillary Clinton removed classified documents from her office in Washington as Secretary of State. She did it, 2,000 of them. And the only reason the FBI didn't lodge charges was they said, well, she didn't do it on purpose. I know Trump, he doesn't sit in a room with documents, but that's either here nor there. I think, based upon what I know and what I'm seeing, that this raid, they were hoping to get some kind of text or some kind of piece of paper or some kind of printout, Trump talking about January 6th. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, in a movie or a novel, maybe so. But in the real world, you don't go in with the hopes of then trying to find some criminal activity. You have to allege that the crime already has occurred.
No, I know that. But you know and I know fishing expeditions exist.
I know that. Yes, sir. But I know the temperature of the FBI with respect to the January 6th proceedings personally. And I know they have had a hands-off position, letting Congress do this show, and the FBI really has taken a back seat. The other thing is, and Bill, just so your viewers fully understand the real world, a search warrant that it was executed 2 days ago must contain information that the Supreme Court of the United States has defined as ripe, meaning fresh. something that may have occurred within the last 30 to 45 days. The fact that he may have been in possession of materials that go back since he left office a year and a half ago would not be sufficient to escalate it to being able to sign off on a warrant.
But he
because
hasn't been there since May.
Well, but someone had to have been able to corroborate with particularity, actual facts. This is the real world.
No, I understand. I understand.
Someone on the inside had to say, yesterday, I saw X, Y, and Z, and I believe he's going to either destroy it or hide it or transfer it or do something.
Okay.
It can't be something that someone saw a year ago.
But that is so far-fetched because the man is in New Jersey and has been since early May.
Which then shows that he would not have been in a position to destroy any document.
Right. Okay, and that brings us to the next thing, that if you have what you call fresh information, all right, you give the man under suspicion, Donald Trump, the ability to explain it, right?
100%. I agree with you.
Because if you don't, it looks like we're a fascist country. Kick the door in. Find anything. Now, last question on this, and then I want to get into the FBI in general. Merrick Garland is the boss. Wray works for him, okay, in the Justice Department. In the next week, I am calling for the Attorney General to put forth specificity about this case. Should he?
100%. I felt that this case was synonymous with someone pulling the pin on a hand grenade and throwing it into a crowded room and just walking away, appreciating and understanding and anticipating what the collateral damage would be.
Crazy.
And they did exactly that without any regard, knowing that there was going to be a significant fallout. Look, Bill, the FBI's reputation going back to May of 2017 has been irreparably harmed when then Director James Comey was fired. They've been trying to rehabilitate their reputation, and unfortunately now in August of 2022,
it's over.
The legitimacy, not only the integrity.
Right, and Christopher Wray cannot continue. He can't. If you look at his... If you look at what he did last week in front of that Senate committee on Thursday, stonewalling everything, and then you add this to it, again, more than half the country thinks it's a political persecution to a former president. How can this guy continue? He can't. And you mark my words, Mr. Kaplan, you mark my words. It isn't going to be Garland taking the fall for this. He won't because Biden, but Wray, where do you see? Now, let me get you brought up Comey. I thought Comey should have been charged. You disagree?
I don't know if I necessarily would say that he committed any sort of criminal acts, but it is the first time, and believe I worked under then Director Louis Freeh and Bob Mueller and completely a different atmosphere. That was the first time that it was evident, crystal clear, that a director of the FBI lost his sense of moral compass with respect to being neutral, detached, unbiased, untouchable. Clearly, he crossed the line. There's no doubt about it.
But in my opinion, what he did, all right, I would have charged him with abuse of power. McCabe, all right, his deputy, whose wife was deeply involved with Democratic politics in Virginia, who now works for CNN. He was pretty much steering this into a political area, and he got away with it.
So, look, and this is what I want your viewers to understand. There's the field agents across the United States.
Everybody knows that. I don't want to be...
And then there's one.
Right.
No, but then there's this... But here's I'm going to volunteer some information. There's the 7th floor at headquarters.
Right.
They needed to clear out with a bulldozer and unfortunately, there is a systemic problem that still is there. And there's a culture that goes and acts with impunity. And that's what we're seeing play out.
Some of that is Trump's fault because he hired Wray and didn't fire him when it was clear Wray was incompetent. Last one. Strzok and Page, with all of the memos going back and forth that we got to get Trump. Shouldn't they have been charged with some kind of violation?
Well, and you would think at least minimum an OPR and Office of Professional Responsibility charges to have at least, come down hard on them. They got a pass.
Yeah.
They got a free pass.
It's outrageous. All right.
But
you were one of our best guests that we've had in years, Mr. Kaplan. I'm not just saying that because you were. So I hope you will do me a favor and just track this story. And when you see something that doesn't stack, or you see something that the folks need to know, because you're a straight shooter, you're obviously that, very knowledgeable, give us a call. We'll get you right on the air. All right?
I want to offer one thing. May I offer one last thing?
Absolutely.
The President of the United States, either him personally or his chief of staff, is debriefed every morning by a deputy director of the FBI on current events or national security matters. I am going to tell you, there is no doubt, unequivocally, that prior to the execution of this search warrant, either the President of the United States or his chief of staff was fully debriefed on the fact that this warrant was going to be executed.
Right. But what they did, and I know this to be a fact, was said, don't tell us exactly when it's going to happen, so we have quote unquote deniability. That's what happened. As I said, they knew that the Attorney General was going in this direction, but they said, we've got to have that wiggle room, which is what they all do in the swamp. And it's disgusting. Stuart Kaplan, he is an attorney in West Palm Beach right now. If you need good representation, you look him up. All right? I will if I ever get in trouble down in Florida. Does inflation and the looming prospect of recession have you worried about your savings? Endowments, pension funds, and the ultra-wealthy have been quietly investing in farmland for decades, and it's paying off for them. Farmland returns have averaged 11% per year for the last 30 years, even despite the dot-com crash, Great Recession, and COVID-19. When inflation goes up, so too does farmland value. Until recently, farmland investments have mostly been accessible only to institutions and elites. Acre Trader breaks this barrier. Acre Trader makes it easy to invest in thoroughly reviewed farm offerings, quickly and securely. Their team of agriculture experts does all the work while you collect passive income from your farmland investment. So put your money in a time-tested asset by visiting acretrader.com, or you can call 888-958-1470 and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's acretrader.com. Okay, final thought of the day is Hillary Clinton. Throw it on up there. She's got a hat. She wants you to buy her hat. The hat costs $32. The hat says, but her emails. Oh, come on. Why do you need a hat for $32, Mrs. Clinton? Why? All right, so after the FBI raid, Hillary Clinton went out there with the stupid hat. Is that arrogant? I believe so. You got away with it, madam. You got away with it. I wouldn't be doing any hats. Karma. I know you don't believe in karma, but it does exist. How obnoxious is this? I mean, really, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's got to be 10, right? It's got to be 10. She got away with it. She took classified information, put it on her personal servers. Her staff destroyed stuff. All right, Comey let her walk. Well, she didn't really know. Oh, yeah. Sure. And then she got a hat? No shame, and you know why? Because the media gonna let her get away with it. You're not gonna say anything about it. I bet you didn't even know that hat. Did you know it? Write me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town, please, if we show up on. Did you know about that hat before I told you? Okay, that happened yesterday. Do you hear it anywhere? No. Okay, so tomorrow, as I told you, I have a very interesting conversation coming up. I haven't done it yet. But I'm on this now as a reporter. You know, most of the time I'm an analyst because I don't have time to be a reporter, but this story is so big that I'm back in my reportorial mode. And I've got, you know, I'm hoping, you never know, but the person agreed to talk with me. I don't know if it's person's going to go on the record or off the record. I don't know, but I'm going to find out some really interesting stuff. And I will tell you what I found out on Thursday's No Spin News. Thank you for watching and listening this evening. We will see you tomorrow. Where do you want to travel next? With ever-changing travel and entry requirements, different opinions about where to go, and so many destinations to choose from, it can be a challenge to get started. So I want to introduce you to Wheels Up Travel Company. The Wheels Up Travel Company is veteran-owned by Christy Fitzharris. Christy and her team specialize in ocean and river cruising, golf vacations, yacht charters, luxury getaways, and more. When you work with a certified professional travel agent like Christy, you'll be guided through the entire process. They don't stop communicating with you even after you provide your credit card. They are available 24/7 for support before, during, and after your travel. Schedule a free vacation consultation today by visiting wheelsuptravelco.com or call 253-327-3515. That's wheelsuptravelco.com. Mention Bill O'Reilly sent you to save 50% on your travel vacation planning fee.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.